Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Aaron St. Denis at FFMadScientist, joined by Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05 and SC Romero at the PPR Show. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Universe. All right, today we are going to continue on with our rookie sneak peeks. We are diving into that group of running backs where there seems to just be a whole cluster of them. Ray Davis, Kentucky, is today's topic. Looks like he's kind of in that solid second tier there. He's not really in. I don't see anyone ever with him in the top of the group of 5 or 6 at the top. He seems solidly in the second tier. He was a 3-star prospect out of Blair Academy in Blairstown, New Jersey. Originally committed to Temple University for 2 years. He would transfer to Vanderbilt to play for 2 seasons. And in his final year of eligibility, he would transfer to Kentucky. I don't think I've ever seen. How many schools does Spencer Rattler go to? Just 2?
Yeah, I think it's just 2. Right?
I can't name any other player who's gone to 3 colleges or universities.
I bet we can find. I bet we'll find one at some point.
Oh no, I'm sure with the new transfer rules, but that's wild, man. In his first 2 years at Temple, he had 1,244 rushing yards and averaged 4 yards per carry. At Vandy, he had a slow start in year 1. His third collegiate season, he saw only 44 attempts for less than 220 yards. His second year was much better. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. This was the first time in his college career he accomplished that. He also hauled in 29 receptions for 169 yards. This gave him 1,211 total yards, as is common with most of the running backs that we're starting to see in this range. Not a whole lot of passing upside, but not terrible. 30 receptions seems pretty good. I don't know about the 169. That's not optimal. In his final collegiate season, he transferred to Kentucky. This would become his best season. He had just under 200 rushing attempts. There's a big workload increase. Averaged 5.8 yards per carry. He finished the season with 1,129 rushing yards, and once again showed his receiving skills by bringing in 33 receptions for 323 yards and a total of 21 touchdowns. I like the 33 for 323 a lot more than I like the 29 for 169. So I get that it's only a 4 reception increase, but it's double the yardage. So that's a positive sign, at least for the pass catching. This one is written by SC. If you want to see the full write-up, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. We'll throw it to you first, SC. What stood out to you?
Just a really bully back. He's someone that he's strong. He runs with aggression. He goes through the line. He has that vision. And the pass catching, that's something you're always looking for in these running backs. He's not necessarily a full dual threat. Like he's not CMC or, Jamar Gibbs, anything like that that's going to catch it. But he does have the ability to catch the ball, has some soft hands. I think it has to do with Devin Leary just dumping it off to him. Once he gets that ball in his hands, he uses his strength to just bully through those defenders and get what he needs to get for that extra yardage.
All right. How about you? What did you see, Jesse?
Yeah, I think like in a room where they lack like receiving running back talent, he can be a capable pass catcher, but he's never going to be a plus in that game. Like that's just not who he is. He just comes off as a grinder. Like he can kind of do a little bit of everything. He has some nice wiggle on occasion, and he's powerful. He's basically 5'9", 220. He's a tank. And you see it in the play. Like when he gets there into the goal line, he's able to finish strong because of how compact his body is. So that's all working in his favor. There's some things I like about him overall. Like he's a tantalizing prospect.
What worries me is this class seems to have a whole lot of guys that are 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 220. It's like a class full of bowling ball running backs. We'll get into that. 5'10" is unofficial. Obviously, these are going to change later. You never know with these guys. Some of them could come in at 5'7". They get creative with the measurements. But for now, 5'10", 216. He is 24.3 years old and is a senior. 5 years here because of COVID. 3 different colleges. That is rather alarming to me. Colleges, universities, whatever the hell you want to call them. I'm not typically a fan of the 4-year senior, so I really don't like the 5-year senior. Obviously, Jesse pointed out before the show that COVID plays a role in that, so you see it a little more. But the 5-year player, COVID or not, with 3 different schools is alarming to me. Does that worry anybody else?
I mean, kind of, sort of, but he's productive at multiple places. So
It is interesting, though, that his best 2 years of production came in the SEC for the most part.
Yep.
Like, he was all right at Temple to start out, then did nothing in 2 years. This is the COVID year,
That's the
so
COVID,
we
yeah.
can wipe that right out. But then his first year at Vandy, I guess he was the new guy. Anybody remember who Vandy had in front of him in 2021? I don't think it was
I just
anyone.
looked. It wasn't a good running back room.
Yeah,
There's guys
okay.
that nobody knows, basically.
So that kind of scares me. But then he takes over and he looks pretty good in 2022 and 2023. So I guess that makes me feel a little bit better that he produced in 2 pretty solid conferences. Thoughts?
Yeah, Lobby, the transferring to schools, I mean, we're gonna see it a lot more, just NILs and all this transfer portal stuff. I mean, it's going crazy. I mean, this past year the transfer portal had the most it's ever had, and we're gonna see it multiple times. Guys going to G5s, guys going up to D1, vice versa. It's gonna be happening. So that's not really it. I mean, we're getting to the age of college football where money talks. So granted, this was prior to that with him going to Kentucky. But we're getting to that age where we're going to see it a lot more. So, I'm glad he went to Kentucky because he got more usage as far as more efficiency. So it looked better. And yeah, he did it again with, in the SEC.
Yeah, nice.
All right, let's get into his. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say he measured it at the Senior Bowl, so he's closer to 5'8", 220. I know it says 5'10",
Yeah.
216.
I haven't updated the Senior Bowl one. Well, I have updated some of them, but there are still some that I haven't fully updated since the Senior Bowl. I'm waiting on a lot of them. I don't want to go through and update them all for the Senior Bowl, only to update them all again in what's it, 3 weeks for the
Combine. Yeah, for the Combine? It's coming up, yeah.
It's the end of February, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the scouting report here. Strengths: stout running back will bully his way through the tackles. That's damn sure. Earning extra yards. Power runner, running at its finest, will go heads on against the defenders without fear. Soft hands, dual threat back who can be a pure runner, but he has good hands as well. Reliable and sturdy back who has shown it throughout his career. His power makes him an excellent candidate for goal line carries. Touchdowns come easy, and he has solid vision in finding the holes between the tackles. So he's a decent pass catcher, and he's really your like hammer running back type. What was his best strength for you, SC?
That his strength. He's just a strong running back. And when we go into his weaknesses, you're gonna see that's also his weakness, that he relies too much on his strength. He's not very as agile to make the cuts that he needs. He'd rather go head on versus the defender than take a step to the left, take a step to the right to break that tackle. And that's great in college, but a lot of times once you go into the NFL, every guy over there on the defensive side is over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, right? So, I mean, it's going to be a lot different going against these linebackers and defensive linemen. So, yes, he can still do it, but that's also going to be something where it's like, man, you got to learn how to make some cuts here and there.
I got into that exact debate earlier with someone who commented on our Blake Corum video, and they said they thought it was asinine that I listed him as not a great. I don't think he's going to translate to be a good goal line back. And then they commented, "Oh, that's asinine. He led the NCAA in goal line touchdowns or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, well, doing it in NCAA where you're bigger and faster than everyone is not the same as doing it in the NFL, where just because his strength and his play style was a benefit to him in college doesn't necessarily mean it's going to transition and be a benefit in the NFL where everybody's big and everybody plays like a dump truck like him." So, what did you think there, Jesse?
Yeah, I do worry about that because he's basically a one cut and go type back. Like he's a bowling ball. He's not able to juke. So with the system and he doesn't have the top end speed, that does worry me because if you're going to put him in that type of scheme, like you want guys that can hit home runs that way. But overall, he gets downhill, he makes it work, and if you give him a lane, he'll get you 5 yards, no problem. So if he's in a good offense with a good offensive line, like we talked about with Michigan and good offensive lines, and something like that, yeah, obviously he can be productive. But I do wonder like how good he will be in the NFL because he does have some issues and limitations with this game.
See, and I have him as a 4.56 expected 40 time, which I kind of saw him as a Marshawn Lynch type, where he just makes that cut and then he goes. The worry is I don't think he has as much size, and I don't think he has the home run speed.
Yeah,
so
Marshawn Lynch was just way more complete.
Well, so I think he's dollar store Marshawn Lynch. I think he profiles the same way, except he doesn't do it nearly as well. Weaknesses, as SC said, what he has in power, he lacks in speed. Uses his power to break through, but lacks any breakaway speed. Needs to improve his pass pro, inefficient when he picks up blitzes, lacks the agility to break tackles, and relies on his power to make the difference. What was the biggest weakness for you, SC? As you said, it was just, the overall lack of speed and relying on his power too much.
Yeah, but also, I mean, picking up the blitz, I think that's going to be a big part. And we saw with Damian Pierce early on, right, that he had that struggle and that kind of affected him and his usage early on. Then he finally got that feet under him and learned what to do. So when it comes to running backs, especially one that's not one of your stud running backs, that's something you really want to see because that just gets them on the field regardless, right? If they have that good pass pro in them, then they're going to see the field. He doesn't have that. So that's something he's going to need to work on, maybe show a little bit at the combine, definitely in his pro day. To even increase that draft stock, but that's why I have him so low in the draft right now.
I completely forgot the pro days. I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. We have it planned for Senior Bowl and Combine and NFL Draft. Pro days. There's pro days in there. I forgot the pro days. So there'll be an update for that as well. Pro days. All right. Yeah, let's head down here to the last section. I know you've got him 5th round, Baltimore Ravens. I think I have him as well in the middle to early section. Might have been early section for me. I think round 5 is safe for day 3. I had him going to, who do I have him written down as? Minnesota or Chicago. More so Minnesota. I'm not a big believer in Ty Chandler. Why round 5 and why the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, round 5, round 4, take it with a grain of salt when it comes to running backs, right? It's day 3. You get all the running backs going in day 3, maybe 3, maybe 4 going in day 2 of this year's draft. But the Baltimore Ravens, it just feels like that's the type of running back they want, right? Just he's stout. He's someone that's just gritty. You don't necessarily need someone to get the full workload because you have Lamar Jackson, but I think he's a good counterpiece to Lamar Jackson's lightning, right? So he's someone that you can trust to hold the ball. He gets those carries, and to me, it just screams Baltimore Ravens. I mean, just the way he's built just sounds like this is a great power running back, kind of like what Jamal Lewis was back in the day. He's not that, don't get me wrong, but something like that where it's just like, let's just run up the middle and just ground and pound these guys till the end, and then if Lamar needs to run outside, he can do that.
All right, where do you think he goes, Jesse?
I actually really like that fit because basically what they're doing is Gus Edwards getting a little long in the tooth. You're drafting Ray Davis to take over the Gus Edwards role in that offense. He doesn't have the explosiveness of J.K. Dobbins. Like, he's not that level of player, but he can fill in the Gus Edwards shoes and give you pretty similar production from him and in one of the better rushing schemes in the NFL. So if you put him in that position with a good offensive line, you got Lamar Jackson, like the holes are going to be there. So I like that fit for him a lot, actually.
We're all assuming J.K. Dobbins is just dead. Has anyone come back? What is it? 2 ACL issues?
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I'm not.
He's gonna be the guy going into camp and stuff, but I'm not. I'll be drafting the running back that they get. Just because I had the hope that you're gonna get your shot there. So.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, that concludes the 2024 rookie sneak peek for Kentucky running back Ray Davis. If you want to see SC's full write-up, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com and check back tomorrow for the next video in our series. Not sure who it is. We're kind of winging it. We've gotten into the muck here where it's getting lower down the list, and we're just kind of going with whoever really starts to stand out. Some of these guys are really moving, especially since the Senior Bowl. So check back tomorrow for our next video. For Aaron, Jesse, and SC, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Fantasy Football Universe.